Hello, my darlings. Welcome to Whole Woman Love. I am your host, Vandana Chandar. I am so delighted to have you here today. In today's session, I am going to touch base upon the luteal phase. Tell me any symptom that you face in the luteal phase. Tell me you have cramps, tell me you are bloated, tell me you're feeling stuck, tell me that you have lower back pain, breast tenderness, anger issues, irritability, right, constipation. Today we are going to cover it. I am going to share you this lens of Chinese medicine perspective into it because I don't know, I don't care how many functional medicine practitioners you have visited. I don't care how many labels and tags they have given you. Oh my God, it's hormone imbalance, right? Oh my God, it's infertility. Oh my God, your estrogen is too low, your estrogen is too high, your progesterone is too low, right? Let's pull back for a second and let me invite you into this Eastern medicine practice. Let me invite you to into something that we knew in decades ago, like centuries ago, we knew this, right? Let me bring you to that. So, in Chinese medicine, right, I'm going to explain this to you using the five element theory. So, what is the five element theory? The five element theory is a theory of five elements. They have an interconnected relationship. We are alive, we are made, we are constituted of these five elements. Everything that you see in the world, the five rule it. Call it spirituality, call it materialism, everything that you can perceive, you can sense, you can see, right? It's a blend of five. So when we talk about these five elements, your uterus, your PMS issues, your luteal phase health symptoms, everything comes back to these five elements. Now let's touch base on what these five elements actually are. So we are specifically looking at liver and your spleen. So when I talk about liver in practice, and you may hear every functional medicine doctor talk about this, right? Liver, bile flow, liver, estrogen, you may hear it all the time. And when we talk about spleen, your blood sugar, your cortisol, your circadian rhythm, right? You may hear this all the time as well. So you're already hearing these things that these functional medicine practitioners, right? The Western world is now talking about. Now let me recall for you once again. Let me talk about it for you once again that we knew it. In Eastern medicine practices, we knew it centuries ago. This is the beauty. This is the beauty of TCM. This is the beauty of traditional Chinese medicine, right? And if you're here, let me walk you through the very basic of my work, the very basic where I just stand here, I start here, right? Everything begins here. So let's talk about that, darlings, right? Okay, five elements theory. So what happens is liver and spleen, they hold a very close relationship. They hold a very close relationship together. So the spleen's job, let me also walk you through the entire chart first, and then we will walk over the role of each element. So we have a spleen. This is your earth element. So by nature, you can just think of it as Mother Earth, right? By nature, the role of earth is to nurture us. It is to build the foundation for us to know that love is unconditional, that we are meant to have a stable ground, a foundation here. That's your earth. That's what earth teaches you. The Mother Earth, right? It gives us. You can also connect it to soil. We are actually talking about earth, right? So we can also connect it to the soil, right? This is what soil does for us. Soil holds thing into place for us, right? Everything grows up from the soil. If the soil is great, if the soil is, strong in its ability to hold, things flourish. Things flourish then. So earth is the element that spleen and stomach belong to. So tell me that, with stress, your digestion changes. And I know why. Why? Because the earth is shaky. Hmm? So you see, the role of earth is so much like, and we are specifically talking about the spleen element, right? So when we are talking about the spleen element, what the job of spleen is, what the spleen does, is it transforms food, the nourishment that you eat, right? It transforms it and it makes blood nutrients from it. So you tell me, secondly, that hey, Vandana, I have an iron deficiency, right? I know the earth element is weak. I know that your spleen, your digestive function, your stomach is suffering, right? I can spot it right from your symptoms alone. Like you tell me this is a symptom, and I can see. I am seeing right now. This is it. So let's talk about this earth element a little. This is your core. This is your foundation. So whenever you talk about being bloated, Hmm? I'm not talking about the heavy, stony feeling at the moment. I'm not talking about the pain on the sides of your body. I'm simply talking about the bloating, or any digestive complaint. Now, we are again talking about earth, my darlings. We are again talking about earth, right? So the earth is shaky, the spleen, the stomach, not so optimal, not so optimal, maybe, right? So what happens when the spleen is not strong enough, right? We cannot transform food that we eat. Firstly, a lot of us don't have the right eating practices. Like, let me be super clear with that, right? So learning what is the right way to eat, what is on top of that, then the second layer of addition, that this is the right way of eating for my constitution. This is the layers that I walk through with my clients in my practice. This is the layers that we cover. We first spot where the loophole is, right? Where are we leaking? Where are you leaking energy? And then I walk them through, like, yes, this is the basic rule of eating, and this is how your constitution wants to eat, because every constitution is different, and no two people actually heal on the same food. What you may like, what your body might feel as nourishment, can be very different from what somebody else considers as nourishment, right? So this is about earth. Let me show you a perspective now, right? So earth, we know the job, the spleen's job is to transform food, right, and to nourish your body. Now from spleen, I want to come back to liver once, right? So spleen and liver have this interdependent relationship. If your spleen is weak, your liver is going to overpower it, because they have to be in balance, right? And if your liver is already overpowering, it may also attack your spleen. So let's talk a little about what is the liver's job now. The liver's job is actually to make sure that everything in your body flows. That's the liver's job, right? So the liver's job is to express and to hold back when needed. So we, align, or we assign the liver organ into the wood element. Now just think with me for a second. What do you think when you think of wood? I can see a tree. I can see a tree, right? And I am spotting clearly that if the tree is strong, it will grow. And if the tree is flexible, then any wind that comes, the tree will not break. It will flow, it will be flexible, it will change its direction if needed, and it will flow with it. Hmm? So that's exactly what your liver does. It's responsible for coursing the chi in your body. The chi is what we call the energy in the body, right? So it's responsible for coursing the chi in the body. And anytime that you feel the feeling of being stuck, oh my God, we are talking about the liver element now, okay? Anytime you feel this heaviness in your, this oppression in your chest, liver again, guard, liver again. Anytime you feel especially breast tenderness, breast pain, liver again. So any sort of feeling that gives me the sense of being stuck, unmotivated, directionless, purposeless, right? That's your liver. That's your liver right there, because that's the role of wood. And guess what? The soil, the earth, right? The spleen controls liver, and vice versa, by the way. So we don't want too much growth happening, because it will also steal all the nutrients from the soil, right? So this is a very interconnected, very beautiful relationship. Now I would also like to invite this topic of kidney in the place. We are not going to cover every single thing, right, on the element chart, but let's also talk about kidneys for a second, because this is also an interrelated component in the picture. So when we talk about kidneys, right, kidneys belong to the water element, and the season of kidneys is winter. So whenever you have lower back pain, circulation issues, fatigue issues, right, that's your kidneys right there. And one beautiful aspect that I absolutely love about the kidneys, that kidneys have this inherited essence. Whatever you inherited from your parents, from your ancestors, the kidneys store that as jing. So your jing is your ancestral essence that your body has. So whenever these Westerners, right, we label it as, hey, we have adrenal burnout, adrenal fatigue, right, adrenal collapse, we are referring to the kidneys again. And now the most important part where the kidneys actually play a role is that in the five element chart, right, there's a five element chart, and every single element is a mother, there's a mother and child relationship. So between liver and spleen, we have an interdependent controlled relationship. They control each other, okay? And when the control falls through, they overpower one another. But when we talk about the kidney and the liver, now this here, this has a mother-child relationship. This is not a control cycle. This is a mother-child relationship. So anytime I see my child, like let's say liver, right? I see the child as empty or dysregulated, like my liver is dysregulated. I suppress my truth. I have resentment, right? I am angry. I'm splurging with anger, right? And my liver is dysregulated. Then the liver is going to steal from the mother. The child is going to steal from the mother, because anytime a child is deficient, the energy comes from the mother. Hmm? So this is again another relationship that we are going to talk about. And if the child is deficient as well, the mother will provide. The mother will provide. Okay. So every time you have issues with your liver, your kidneys, your adrenals take over. They support you. They take over, they support you, they nourish you. So that's the cycle we are talking about. Now let's come back. Now that you have this, basic information about the spleen, your earth, your liver, your wood, and your water, your kidneys, when you have this relationship in place, now I invite you to four different patterns. I am going to talk about four different patterns through which I see every case of PMS, my guy. Every single case of PMS, okay? So, for those of you who do not know what PMS is, we have premenstrual syndrome, which is like any symptom, any tension symptom, any irritability, right? Anything that you get right before your period. So, 5 days, 7 days, right after ovulation, for that matter, for some women, right? 12 days before your period, if you are suffering from any discomfort, right? You're not feeling okay in your body, you're not feeling okay with your digestion, you are having headaches, maybe, right? All this points us back. You're having anxiety, maybe you're having insomnia, restlessness, right? All of this points us back to having liver issues, right? So let me tell you why. So there are two ways, right? And this all is rooted in liver and spleen. There are so many ways that this can be dysregulated. Let me walk you through the first one, like a very common example. We are living in 2026. Let's go with that. So whenever you suppress your emotions, right? I wanted to say something and I could not. For whatever matter, there was just some emotional suppression, let's say, right? In TCM, the exact term that we have for this is liver chi depression. We have liver depression. This is what we call liver depression. If you do not speak your truth, my love, if you do not express your emotions, if you repress or hold back, if you people please, right? If you overgive, if you overextend, that's liver depression. And what is the job of liver? The job of liver is to course the chi well. So what ends up happening? The liver is depressed, right? So when the liver is depressed, right? Just visualize with me for a second. The liver is depressed. What's going to happen? Instead of coursing chi, it's stagnant. The chi is stagnant. So this is what we call in practice liver depression, chi stagnation. Okay, you can also call it as liver chi stagnation. So the chi is our energy, it has to flow, it has to circulate, but because there is liver depression, the chi is not flowing. So the first and foremost work that I invite you into is to express yourself, is to journal, right? And also because progesterone rises, right? And progesterone supports fertility, it supports pregnancy, right? So our check for threat, our actual visual lens for threat, like it goes up, it goes so up, right? So you may like freak out with things a little more in the luteal phase, and that's completely okay as long as you don't hold them in, as long as you don't suppress your truth. That's what we want, okay? We want expression, expression, expression. We want the chi to flow. We want the chi to not feel restricted, to not feel suppressed. Now, second, let's talk about anyway, regardless, before we even come to the second, if you have the first issue, right? If you have a liver issue, your spleen is listening to that. Let's keep it that straight. Your spleen is listening because they have a control relationship, a control over power relationship, right? So if this is repressing, holding on to too much, then it's also going to fall out of balance. So your digestion may take a hit, especially if you're stressed. And I'm pretty sure you guys must have noticed it, right? You must have noticed that your digestion appetite changes with stress, your bloating changes with stress, right? Now let's move on to the spleen element. What's its role in keeping you stuck and keeping you with all these patterns of PMS, right? And this is beautiful. This is so beautiful because if your earth is weak, and earth can be weak for so many reasons, you can have a constitutional deficiency of spleen. Okay, you can have a constitutional deficiency of earth element if you were not nurtured enough as in childhood, right? Your earth can already be shaky because hey, this is our ground, this is the fertile land that we sprung out of. So if that element has been weak, then That's already deficient, right? So what happens? Let's say my spleen is deficient for a second, right? What's going to happen is that I am not processing food as well. So instead of food transforming, now the food is not transforming, it is sitting, it is rotting. So what happens when things don't transform, when fluids don't transform? They form into dampness. What is dampness? Okay, visualize with me for a second. I am seeing rainy season. I'm seeing a lot of puddles. I'm just seeing a lot of rains, a lot of puddles, right? Things just getting mossy, things just getting stagnant, water that has been sitting there for too long. All of this can be a visual, understanding of dampness. This is dampness actually. This is what dampness looks like. So when we talk about dampness on body, you will see it as more puffiness. A lot of women tell me, hey, we just get puffy. I don't know why. I just have a lot of water retention on my feet, on my legs, on my face, right before my period, right? Here you land. Sticky stools. If you have a lot of sticky stools, here we land. A lot of loose stools, here we land. This is all dampness, right? Feeling cold intolerant, this is dampness. Having a lot of sputum, having a lot of phlegm issues, this is dampness right here. So, what happens? One more factor about dampness, my girl, if you are not treating it, it also depends on how chronic the case is. And this is why working on health conditions, working on health cases is not simply just by tagging you. Yes, you have liver G stagnation. Yes, you have spleen deficiency. It's more than that. It's actually understanding which pattern came first, what is your hierarchy, which one of your organ needs the most focus. I can't simply go on and okay, this is the problem, this is what I'm saying. I need to know the order because the order is supreme. Which comes first is something we need to really, really know, right? So, what happens if you're chronically ignoring this dampness? Let's say you were bloated a lot. Let's say you had a lot of puffiness, right? Let's say you had cold feet, cold hands, right? Let's say you also had numbness. Again, a very big symptom. Let's say you also have brain fog, a very big symptom. Mental clarity dropping down, a very big symptom, right? Let's say you have all these symptoms of puffiness, edema, right? Water retention, bloating, sticky stools, brain fog, right? Numbness, all these symptoms, and you do not treat them. You just ignore them, you go by life. Oh my God, yes, I have a lot of stress, a lot of things to do, right? And what happens eventually is that this dampness turns into phlegm. Now you have the diagnosis of PCOS. Now you have cystic ovaries. Now you have nodules either in your breast or somewhere else in your lymph nodes. Right now, your lymph nodes are swollen. Now you have inflammation. Now you have endometriosis. Yes, this is what happens when we do not treat dampness early. It turns into phlegm, it turns into asthma, it turns into respiratory issues. This is what happens eventually if you do not treat it early. You have chronic blood deficiency, you have iron deficiency, you have anemia, chronic anemia, severe case of anemia. Yes, this is where we are coming to because your spleen is responsible for blood production. And if you tell me, girl, you have all the symptoms of dampness, you have chronic dampness, which may have turned into phlegm now, right? And you are working on iron deficiency, that's not at all your problem. Like, don't even look at it for a second. Like, let me come back. Let me call you back home. Let me call you back home. Let's just sit here for a second and let's talk about the five elements. Let's just see where your body is not aligning. Let's see where your body is refusing to produce it and why. So the problem often is not even like because we run to treat the problem as if like, oh, this is my symptom, just treat it for me. We cannot do that, my love. We cannot work that way because our idea, I'm not here to give you one herb and send you home, right? My idea is to know where is the root cause, what is leading to that root cause, okay? So this is the second part of the problem. Now you will tell me that, okay, the spleen is weak, right? But what does that have anything to do with the PMS symptoms? Because what happens is this dampness itself, right? So consider dampness a blockage. I talked about emotions. Emotions block the chi in the body, right? It leads to chi stagnation. This is same what dampness does. It is also an obstruction. It also blocks the chi flow in the body and it communicates back to the liver. And this is what the liver is listening. Oh my God, too much dampness. Oh my God, impaired bile flow. Oh my God, too much bile, conjugated bile not clearing out of the body. This is where we lie now. So when we talk about the spleen and liver relationship, right, we are talking about the harmony. The harmony is the most important part because you can land here, you can land here, but eventually both result in the same thing, which is like PMS issues. Now, another downside of having spleen chi deficiency, of having spleen chi deficiency is that your liver, let's say two people are there, right? Both of them have anger issues, both of them have irritability issues, both of them have mood swings, anxiety, right? But at the same time, one is able to handle it better. The same situation, they are able to handle it better, and the other person is not. Now we talk about blood. Now we talk about blood because blood nourishes our shen, our spirit. In Chinese medicine, we call spirit as shen. So our shen, our spirit, right, it is nourished by blood. Now, blood is the bed for rest for our spirit. Our spirit rests upon blood, right? So anytime you see a person being super angry, just know that their blood is deficient. Just know that for me for a second, okay? So what happens? The liver, it loves blood. Honestly, if you have anger issues or anything, but if you have good amount of blood, but chronically again, that would not sustain because it will use it up all. So if you have enough blood in your system already, inherently, right? Let's say like constitutionally you inherited enough blood in your body, or your blood was good because your spleen was born strong, your earth element was born strong, right? So you will have a higher chance, a upper hand on working through liver issues because your liver is nourished by blood. So it will still go through, it will still deal with it, right? But let's say somebody who is spleen G deficient, who also have emotional issues, on top of that, she's also blood deficient. Oh, now we are in a case of disaster. Why? Because in the luteal phase, what happens? The blood direction moves down to the uterus. So now I'm preparing to bleed. Happy eclipse, by the way, to everybody. It's new moon, first day of bleeding, new beginnings, and so delighted. Wish you all so much abundance of new beginnings today. Okay, so let's dial back in. So when we talk about this blood, right, blood nourishes and goes down to the uterus. So if you are deficient on blood, right, if the blood is already going down, you don't have enough to nurture your liver now. So you may see heightened symptom in the luteal phase if you are blood deficient. If your symptoms are fine until your follicular phase, until your ovulation, and right after ovulation, like right 5 or 7 days before the period, suddenly, like, oh my God, I am irritable. Like, suddenly I'm snappy. Suddenly I have mood swings. Like, suddenly I'm dry. Suddenly I have like fragmented stools, right? Suddenly I have floating stools. Suddenly I have constipation and like pain in this abdomen. Like, I feel stuck. All of that points back to the blood, to the blood deficiency. We are again talking back about the blood deficiency, my God. Okay. So again, if the blood is deficient, it's a spleen problem. We need to nourish the spleen. It's not like, oh my God, you're blood deficient. Let's just pop in 10 iron supplements and you are done. Not how we do it. We do not address the branch cause, the manifested symptom. We rather, work at the root of it, address the root of it so you understand your case better. That's what I do in practice. I'm not here to just give you one up, hey, send you home. Okay, it's done. Yeah, just take it for a couple of. We are going to work on the root. We need you to know what the root is. I need you to know what the root is. So you don't end up in the same loops, in the same cycles again. Now let's bring in the kidney element that we talked about. Let's bring that in. So one thing, what happens is the kidneys, right? The root of kidneys is in your feet, by the way. So it's very important to move. It's very important to have an acupressure board at home so that you can step on it and stimulate the nerves in your feet, right? It's very important to practice the reflexology chart as well. So let's say your feet, right? They are the foundation, or having all the yin and yang nerves, meridians in your feet. Now, what happens? This kidney, yeah, element, like the kidney organ, this water element, right, it is responsible to keep your uterus warm. I'm talking to every woman who is struggling with painful cramps, clotted bleeding, a lot of blood cramps, right, a lot of blocked menstrual flow, a lot of scanty periods or brown rusted blood. I'm talking to you. So if you have that, cramps, okay, come here, right? This is for you. So if you're talking about that, what we are talking about is a cold uterus. And what keeps uterus warm? Your kidneys. Your kidneys are responsible to keep it warm. So there can be two ways about it. First, either your feet are cold all the time, which is again a spleen problem because your spleen has to balance the chi or flow the chi in the body, so nothing is cold, right? Or the second option, or the second case scenario in this case is that your spleen is having a lot of dampness because it is weak, right? So spleen chi deficiency will lead to dampness, right? That dampness, because it is heavy in nature, right? It is heavy in nature. It collects in your lower burner. What do you call the lower burner? We call our small intestine, our large intestine, our colon, our bladder, and our adrenal glands as the lower burner. So everything heavy gets lodged down into this lower burner. And what happens from here? Because the role of this kidney organ was to keep our spleen warm, but now it cannot do that. Why? Because it is already overloaded with dampness. Again, we are talking about spleen, my love. Again, everything points back to digestion, my love. This is where we start. If your digestion is incorrect, oh my god, every element on the cycle is going to suffer. One more case scenario for you. Oh my god, this is going to be beautiful. One more case scenario for you. Whenever we talk about dampness, whenever we talk about dampness and stagnation, both. I'm talking about both, right? Dampness itself will lead to stagnation, and if things are stagnant, if the bile flow is poor, again it's going to block the chi. So it's very interrelated, relationship here happening. So whenever we are talking about chi stagnation in the body, blockage, dampness in the body, what happens is this dampness, can be obstructing. And this obstruction, what happens if the chi is trying to flow but there's no openness? This is what happens in chronic cases of trauma, right? You have been suppressed for so long, and then a lot of these victims, they go ahead and they suppress other people because this anger that was suppressed previously has to come out some way, right? So this is what happens when it does not come out in a healthy manner. It comes out as an outburst. So this is what we call in TCM as evil heat. We call it as evil heat. What do you mean by evil heat? So the chi is trying to flow, but it constantly meets, you know, obstruction, blockage. So what's going to happen? It's going to generate a lot of heat. As a response to this obstruction, it's going to generate a lot of heat. And what happens when a lot of heat is generated? So the nature of heat, I'm inviting you to understand the fire element for a second. Just visualize with me the nature of fire. Fire is hot. Fire moves upwards. Fire burns everything, transforms everything. It gives birth to new, it just collapses everything that is not truth. That's what fire does. It moves upwards. It's hot. That's the direction it knows. So this evil heat that is generated, now it spreads out. Now I'm talking to all my girls who are, constantly talking about night sweats, anxiety, nightmares. Do you hear me? I'm talking to you. Headaches. This is what I'm talking about. This is all evil heat rising upward in the body. You will see night sweats, right? You will have maybe hot flushes, a lot of them. Ear ringing is also possible, by the way, right? Having a lot of headache, migraine, either on the temples or like a full band or the forehead or the crown, very possible, right? And you will feel a lot of tightness in your shoulder area as well. And on the bottom, you might also see constipation, dryness, dry mouth, dry thirst, a lot of extreme thirst, right? All of that can happen. So you see how we have like generated so many case scenarios. Like, do you understand the interconnectedness of this relationship? Because I'm often asked that, hey, this is my symptom, what do I do? And I can tell you, you don't have one symptom, you have a lot of symptoms. It's just that this one is bothering you a lot at the moment. And I know how easy and how, like enticing it is to just like, oh my God, let me just treat this one. I'm going to invite you back in. Like, I invite you back in into the five element theory, into the traditional Chinese medicine, which I absolutely love to talk about. I invite you back into this. I want you to look at your body as a whole. I want you to look at your spirit as a whole, because whenever we talk about, we covered so many things today, right? So we have definitely covered about spleen chi weakness. When the spleen chi is weak, we are going to have a lot of scenarios. So immediately, as the spleen chi is weak, your liver is going to overpower because they have a controlled relationship together, right? So both of them have to be in harmony or nothing. That's the rule here. So spleen chi deficiency is either going to create issues with liver. So a lot of stuck feeling in your body is going to be generated here, right? A lot of bloating is going to generate here. A lot of bloating, indigestion, a lot of gas, like a lot of constipation, loose stools, sticky stools issues, all of them come about here. And when we talk about the spleen element being weak, we have under that, two issues with it. One is blood production drops down because the spleen's job is to produce blood. And if your spleen is weak, right, we are not doing an efficient job in producing blood. So we again come back to spleen G deficiency, blood deficiency. And when the blood is deficient, it is going to make the liver's job even harder. If you already have a liver chi depression, now it's going to be double hard for you to do that, right? And next case scenario was dampness, right? And we talk about dampness as it is something heavy, it obstructs things. So one case scenario generated from dampness would be that it will lead to a lot of evil heat because of this blockage. Same with the chi stagnation from liver will do, right? So a lot of generated heat, and the heat is going to rise up. So you're going to have night sweats, hot flushes, right? Feeling anxious, big one, right? Having nightmares, night terrors, hot flushes, anxiety, headaches, all of that come into place here. Irritability, by the way, feeling of stuck and anger is going to come up as well. And the second case scenario that we generated from dampness was that dampness will lodge down into lower body. So the evil heat is rising up, and the yin evil. Yin is your cold, is your cool, calm, is your composed thing. And whenever the water is evil, which is dampness, right? We're going to refer it to launch down in the body. And that's when it shuts down your kidney system, it shuts down your adrenals, you are fatigued, you have lower back pain, your hands and feet are cold. You possibly have diarrhea as well, right? So we have got like so many things. And every time somebody asks me, hey, I have PMS symptoms, or in the luteal phase, or right when my period comes, right? I don't know, like something changes in my body. I'm not the same person. And yes, my digestion is taking a hit. Yes, my memory is taking a hit. Yes, I have brain fog. I have fatigue. Oh my God, girl, I want you to look at the body as one. I don't want to just say that, oh my God, it's a liver issue. Oh my God, it's a spleen issue. Yeah, because if one element on the chart, on this beautiful chart, is affected, it is communicating to your entire body, every single organ, every single element. We are talking to that, right? So I'm going to close the session now. I hope it was helpful. And this was just an insight and a little beacon, into my work, into what exactly I do, because I have heard these terms. Like I was recently asked, like, do you work on cases of SIBO, let's say, right? And my answer is yes. But I don't see SIBO maybe as how you see SIBO, right? If you see it as small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, I do not see it as that. I see it as a manifested symptom that, okay, the body is presenting with this, but I investigate more. I investigate more. Why? Why is the body presenting with this? What exactly is happening inside the body for the presentation or the manifestation to look like this? That's where I come in place with you, right? That's what I walk you through. I walk you through this entire process, this entire hierarchy. Okay, this is the order one, this is the order two, this is how we walk through the process, because it's never one reason. It's not your SIBO. Let me tell you, it's not the parasites that they are talking about. It's not the mold itself, right? Every single thing is representing a bigger picture for us, and that's what we need to look at, right? So I thank you for you to join me today. I hope the session was helpful, and I hope you guys learned a lot about the luteal phase and how the menstrual flow begins in the body. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in today.